The sun filtered weakly through the treetops, casting a sickly green hue on the path. Marco, with his backpack and camera hanging around his neck, ventured into the forest. He was searching for the legend, the doll cemetery. A forgotten place, a macabre corner where the toys of childhood lay abandoned, observing with empty eyes anyone who dared to disturb their silence. He had read about it on an internet forum, amidst blurry photos and comments from users who swore they had heard whispers and children's laughter. Marco, a paranormal enthusiast, couldn't resist the temptation. The air grew denser as he progressed. The birdsong died away, replaced by an oppressive silence. The ground, covered in damp leaves, crunched beneath his boots, a ghostly echo in the solitude of the forest. Suddenly, he saw it. A crumbling wooden fence surrounded a clearing. Beyond, amidst the undergrowth and makeshift tombstones, hundreds of dolls stared at him. They were porcelain dolls with cracked faces, rag dolls with torn limbs, Barbies with tangled hair and faded paint. Each one, a story of truncated childhood, a toy forgotten in the corner of time. Marco felt a shiver run down his spine, but curiosity outweighed fear. He jumped the fence and entered the cemetery. He began to take photos. First, wide shots of the place, then details of the dolls. The closer he got, the more intense the feeling of being watched became. The empty eyes of the dolls seemed to follow him, judging his every move. A soft whisper, almost imperceptible, reached his ears. At first, he thought it was the wind playing through the leaves, but then he heard it again, clearer, more defined. "Play with us." Marco stopped dead in his tracks. He looked around, but saw no one. Only the dolls, inert and silent, surrounded him. "Play with us." The voice repeated, this time louder, more insistent. It sounded like the voice of a little girl, but it had a disturbing, almost spectral tone. Fear began to grip Marco. He felt watched, haunted by invisible presences. He tried to convince himself it was his imagination, that he was being influenced by the legend of the place, but the voice continued to repeat its macabre invitation. "Play with us." Suddenly, one of the dolls, a porcelain doll with a cracked face and a threadbare dress, moved. Slowly, she extended an arm towards him, as if inviting him to join their game. Marco recoiled in horror. He dropped the camera to the ground and ran, stumbling among the tombstones and undergrowth. He heard the giggles of the girls behind him, a chorus of childlike voices chasing him through the trees. He didn't stop until he reached the edge of the forest. There, panting and trembling, he turned to look back. The doll cemetery remained silent, hidden amidst the undergrowth, as if nothing had happened. Marco picked up the camera from the ground and reviewed the photos. They were all blurry, as if something had interfered with the lens. He tried to delete the images, but the camera froze. The screen displayed a single image, a photo of the porcelain doll, with her arm outstretched and a macabre smile drawn on her face. That night, Marco couldn't sleep. He heard the girl's giggles in his head, saw the image of the doll in his dreams. The next day, he returned to the forest. He needed to understand what had happened, he needed to exorcise his demons. He arrived at the doll's cemetery and jumped the fence. The place was the same as the day before, but this time he felt no fear. He felt sadness. He began to walk among the tombstones, observing the dolls closely. He realized that they were not just abandoned toys, they were symbols of broken dreams, of lost childhoods. Suddenly, he saw something he hadn't noticed before. A small tombstone, hidden among the undergrowth, with a name engraved, Lucia, 1947 to 1955. Marco felt a jolt in his heart. He searched among the dolls until he found her. It was the porcelain doll, the one who had extended her arm. He took her in his hands and observed her closely. Her face was cracked, but she still retained a halo of childlike beauty. Marco understood. Lucia had been a girl who had died prematurely. Her doll, her favorite toy, had been buried with her. Her spirit, trapped in the cemetery, sought company, sought someone to play with. Marco hugged the doll tightly. He promised her that he would never forget her, that he would tell her story, that he would take her out of oblivion. From that day on, Marco visited the doll's cemetery frequently. He cleaned the tombstones, repaired the dolls, gave them a new home. He turned the place into a sanctuary for the lost souls of childhood. He never heard the girls' giggles again, he never felt fear again. He only felt peace. The peace of knowing that he had given a voice to those who had none, that he had illuminated the darkness with a ray of hope. But one night, while he was sleeping, Marco heard a soft whisper in his ear. "Thank you." He woke up startled. He looked around, but saw no one. Only the porcelain doll, now restored and gleaming, watched him from the bedside table. Marco smiled. He knew that Lucia had found peace. But he also knew that the dull cemetery, the silent garden of lost girls, would always be with him. A constant reminder that childhood, though fragile and ephemeral, never dies completely. And that, sometimes, toys can be more than just objects. They can be portals to another world, mirrors of our souls, guardians of our deepest fears.